So it's just going to be a really informal type conversation. We're just going to talk. The whole purpose is to just have people learn about services and how things went and then how I can help. So
Okay.
with all that being said, Stephanie would like to remain anonymous, and I told her that was perfectly fine. She's 18 and college student. I met her through her sister. They're both my strength clients, metabolic strength. And Stephanie transitioned into being my method program, my 90-day program. And I am still working with Stephanie in strength, and she's made progress there. I wanted to highlight that in addition to our functional work. And with all that being said, it's Stephanie.
Thank you
How
so
are
much for
you?
having me. I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. So what I would like to start with is working with me. What brought you to meet with me?
So, I've been having chronic migraines since I was 3 years old, and I've visited lots of doctors and I've tried to look for solutions as to why I have my migraines, but no one could really tell me why. Everyone would just keep dismissing it, and I didn't really have like any proper like testing done. No one really looked into the different parts of like my systems the way you did.
These are some of the things that came with. So you went to a lot of different doctors, and when I met with you, I said a few things early on, even before testing. I said that I feel like your nervous system is overwhelmed, and that you likely have a gluten sensitivity and blood sugar instability, and
Yeah.
so all of that was prior to the testing. And so, what did the testing confirm?
You ended up being right. Like just based off the symptoms I told you, you managed to like give me an assumption of what you think was happening, and then the testing just confirmed everything that you told me I might have.
Yeah, absolutely. We're both really surprised. Well, maybe not too surprised, but for everything to be just right there. Yeah, I used my instinct. So the testing that we did, it did confirm the blood sugar dysregulation, food sensitivities, inflammation, and nervous system dysregulation. And
Yeah.
so what type of changes have you made?
Well, first of all, I've started avoiding like the foods I've been sensitive to, and I think that like by itself definitely had a big influence. Like I stopped getting migraines as often, and I've also like I started the what was it called, like the cell foundational protocol or cell core.
Yes, the liver detox.
Yeah, and I think that's also helping, especially with my blood sugar. I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed like it whenever I am staying consistent with it, my blood sugar hasn't been dropping as much. I was gonna say just the training that we're doing together is also really helping like my posture and my muscles in general because I always felt so weak.
Yeah, your posture is definitely so much better. I know I was always like, you have to look forward. And, we both don't like the eye contact, but we can just pretend. We can just look straight, but we don't have to make eye contact. And then that's also going to help with your neck because we need to strengthen that so that doesn't contribute to any pain that you're having. So talk a little bit about avoiding gluten because that tends to be a challenge for people.
Yeah, so I've been trying to avoid things that involve bread in general. I'm someone who prefers rice or like other types. Like I'm not a big bread eater, so that wasn't much of an issue for me.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came to stuff like things from bakeries
Mm-hmm.
or maybe stuff like pizzas or pastas, those were a little bit more challenging. But I have been able to find like different restaurants or bakeries that were entirely gluten free. Or even I would buy like from the grocery store, I'd find gluten free pasta that's like made from chickpeas or something. And those were also really helpful. it was definitely a challenge at first. It was hard to remember what has gluten and what doesn't, but it sort of became a habit.
Yeah, there's gluten in pretty much almost everything. It's unfortunate, even things that
Yeah.
are don't have gluten naturally occurring. And you've made a lot of changes and put in a lot of effort, especially being a college student and in your age, and trying to navigate, being social, being young, and then also doing what you need to do for your health. What would you say is the biggest motivator for that?
I just want to better my quality of life. I feel like everything else comes second, but I want to prioritize my health first. So I'm definitely trying to put all those aside and just focus on maintaining my body first before everything else.
Absolutely. So feeling better. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about the migraines when it was at its worst? I know that you've had them since you were 3 years old,
Yeah.
and yeah, go ahead and tell me a little bit about your worst experience with them.
So it would be almost every day, if not then multiple times a week. And it gets to a point where it's like paralyzing. Like I just have to lay in bed. I can't tolerate light or sound. I can't even eat. Any like even if I drank water, just anything that enters my stomach, I'd end up throwing it up. It was just it really affected, I guess, my childhood. Like while all my friends would go out to play, I'd just like lay in bed and be in pain all day. So it was definitely like a major influence on my life, and it like stopped me from doing a lot of things that I want to do.
Yeah, and those are the kind of things that really motivated me to want to help you because you're so young. And I think I we said that too, even with regards to you being prescribed like orthotics. And I was like, you're way too young. So we wanted to work on even strengthening your feet, and your quality of life is so important. And yeah, you've been suffering for with migraines, and they were really severe. And now I mean, we're still working together, so we can still make progress, of course. But what is the difference with then and now?
They're a lot less frequent. Like instead of every day, it's maybe once a week or once every other week, which is a huge improvement in my opinion. And they're not as severe. Like I haven't felt the need to like throw up or just sit in a quiet dark room. They're much more tolerable. Like I can continue with my daily life without having to just isolate myself.
Oh, great. So they're not as debilitating and definitely not as frequent. So you've been able
Yeah.
to, go to your classes and not miss any classes.
Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. And so talk a little bit about using a continuous glucose monitor and just what you learned from the experience.
Yeah, so at first I didn't know what to expect. I never really thought about the fact that blood sugar could have an impact. So once I put on the monitor, I wasn't sure what I should look out for and what the symptoms I should be noticing are. But over time, I sort of been able to connect the dots. Like whenever it goes up or down, I've been able to tie that to what I've ate or what I've done throughout my day. And then that also ties to how I felt in the moment. And I think it's been one of the biggest or like the most useful things we've discovered because stabilizing my blood sugar, I felt like it's had the biggest impact on the frequency of my migraines because now I'm able to prevent them before they even start.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you've been able to correlate how you're feeling with the results on with the data on the continuous glucose monitor, and yeah, it's extremely helpful because blood sugar, a lot of people don't realize how much of an impact it has on our health and our nervous system, and it triggers a lot of stress, because it's a mechanism that the body, we need glucose for energy, And if it's dysregulated, it causes a whole host of issues in the body. And if it's not regulated, then it's going to chronically trigger cortisol and adrenaline stress responses to compensate for the dysregulation. And that, translates to anxiety. Have you noticed that that's better as well? Because there is a correlation between blood sugar and anxiety.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I've been able to calm myself down in stressful situations. Like usually it gets to a point where I'm just so stressed and like let's say I'm stressed over homework, I just want to get it done right then and there so it could go off my mind. But I've been able to sort of regulate myself better. Things don't stay on my mind longer or as long as they used to.
Fantastic, fantastic. Yeah. So having lower stress hormones in the body can certainly help with that. And so what is it like, because it's one thing to know and it's one thing to implement, like to, get the information and then to get help with the support. So we did that with the metabolic strength. So we see each other for strength training, and you've made a lot of progress with that. And so tell me a little bit about your fitness experience.
So I feel like I used to get be out of breath a lot quicker than I am now. I feel like I'm definitely more fit. Like usually I'd go up a flight of stairs and then I'm like, oh, I need to catch my breath.
Mhm.
But I'm definitely better in that aspect. And then also I know I've been working on like my shoulders and my back, and I used to not be able to carry my school backpack for long amounts of time because I would be in too much pain. But I've been able to like carry all my stuff a lot longer now. So I definitely feel much stronger.
Absolutely. Yes, you've made a lot of progress and strength for sure. So talk a little bit about, the orthotics and some of the work that we did together with helping you with balance and strengthening your feet.
Yeah, so I was told that I had flat feet, and my doctor just like gave me those like not implants. I forgot what they're called. You just like,
Orthotics.
yeah, the orthotics that you put in your shoes, and like, I guess they helped temporarily, but they weren't something long term. So working on my feet and my balance, I used to be like I had no balance at all, but it's definitely gotten much better now. I could like balance on one foot without having any issues. I don't have to hold on to anything. So I've definitely seen more improvement.
Absolutely, absolutely. And has it reduced like the frequency of the orthotic use?
Yeah, I've almost completely stopped using it. I use them if I'm going for really long walk or something, but other than that, it's not a part of my daily routine.
Fantastic. And that was, because I think you were like 16 or no, or 17 when they, gave you orthotics, which is insane because I mean, I don't get me wrong, I know it's needed to manage pain and for quality of life purposes, but it's just a short-term band-aid to triage a situation. And so we did a lot of work with strengthening the foot muscles, the intrinsic and extrinsic foot muscles, and also strengthening her ankles and her feet and calf muscles, and then stabilizing her hip. And once you do that, then your movement pattern improves, and once your movement pattern improves, then you have less pain. And so part of addressing foot abnormalities is not, I mean, there is benefit to an orthotic, but long-term use of an orthotic, it's going to lead to the foot muscles becoming weaker, because when our feet are making contact with surfaces, it's getting feedback, and that feedback helps it to perform. So when that communication channel is impeded by orthotics, then there's going to be less signals, and when you have less signals over time, then it's then there's going to be less activity in that region. And so what I do recommend, if you are using orthotics, maybe use it for really long distances, but you really want to focus on the root cause and addressing the foot abnormalities itself. And you can do that. And then, and then you can be like Stephanie, who doesn't even wear her orthotics anymore, which is fantastic, which is fantastic. All right, so let's see. So I know no one, like you didn't know that much about the migraine and what the testing covered, and so yeah, yeah. So if there's somebody out there who's suffering from migraines and it's been something for that they've been dealing with for a lifetime or since they were a child, what would you like to tell them?
I'd say listen to yourself and listen to your instincts. Especially if other people have been dismissing you, like you should look into what the root causes could be, and it could be anything. So I think it's definitely helpful to do different tests to figure out what is the main contributor. And like don't wait on it. Like the faster you act, the better the life quality. So I think, just focus on yourself and listen to your body and try to figure it out like as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's definitely very good advice. Unfortunately, there is value in Western medicine, and even Eastern, but a lot of allopathic care. The doctors, they're testing and they have limitations in terms of what they can assess and test. Things have to reach thresholds and you have to have
Mhm.
diagnoses and quality of life is not necessarily an area they try to focus on. So if they don't know, and if your tests are coming back fine, then they just kind of like leave you be, and then you're stuck with whatever ailments that you're experiencing. And that's the beauty of the functional health, is that the objective is different. The purpose is quality of life. That's the objective. So because that's the purpose and that's the objective, then we have different margins in terms of ranges that we can test and then also compare clients within those ranges. And what's good about the ranges that are used in functional health is the population is healthier. So we're comparing you to healthy, optimal people for your age and your gender. So if that's the goal, then there's going to be room to intervene. But when you're in the allopathic system, the population is just a much sicker population. So it's easy to, take tests and be told that your tests are fine and be left, with chronic illnesses and yeah. So I think that's really good advice. So yeah, you can definitely, feel free to visit my website, and you can look at an orientation video to learn a little bit more about my services, and that would be the first step. So it'd be well taken care of, WELLTAKEN careof.com, and then you can go to start here. And so, Stephanie, is there anything that you would like to say or close with that we didn't cover?
I think that's pretty much all I have to say.
No, that's I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me and share your experience. And I've been really passionate about getting you to a point where you're feeling good and that your quality of life is improved and optimal. Not just improved, because what has to happen now is we have to do some repair on some of the oxidation that's gone on for so many years with the migraine. So now we have to do some restorative, supportive work. But that's a great focus to have and not keep chasing triggers. So, and then that can help to preserve your brain health and your brain quality, and then with balancing your nervous system, then yeah, I look at health through lifespan, from womb through longevity. So I look at the whole lifespan of life, and whenever I'm working with people, I'm always thinking about not just the benefits and what we're addressing today, but how it ties into quality of life, and then even end of life. If you're going to be alive, I want you to have the best quality of life, and I especially want you to have really good quality of life, and with your age and
Thank you.
all the suffering and all of that. So I am grateful to be on this journey with you, and I want to thank you for taking time to share your story. And
Thank
thank
you
you.
for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.